Matt Mercer has always been one of the most iconic names in the world of Critical Role, especially because he is the dungeon master, the storyteller, and the person who brings hundreds of characters to life through his voice. In the Legend of Vox Machina, he gave fans unforgettable villains like Celis Briarwood, Umbrazel, and Ortax, along with smaller and fun roles like Vax's pet bear Trinket. But now, with the Mighty Nein getting its official animated adaptation, Mercer finally gets a major lead role instead of just popping in as side characters or antagonists. This new role lets him step into the recording booth as a full cast member rather than just a voice that appears occasionally. This shift is emotional, exciting, and very important for both him and fans of the series. When speaking with Screen Rant, Mercer explained that working on the Mighty Nein feels different because now he's actually part of the core cast instead of simply showing up to lend his voice to an enemy for a few episodes. He said that while he enjoyed being a guest character and loved playing villains, stepping into a long-term character arc feels more fulfilling and meaningful. This time he voices Essek Thelyss, a powerful and complicated drow wizard who plays a key role in both the story and the political conflicts happening between the Kryn dynasty and the Dwendalian Empire. For Mercer, Essek is not just a character who appears, causes chaos, and disappears. This is a role that lets him grow emotionally over time. He feels connected to Essek and appreciates how layered and mysterious the character is, calling him of complicated little Dunamancer, whose past and struggles are deep and worth exploring. Mercer described how different it feels to walk into the recording booth as a main cast member instead of someone coming in for a smaller part. He explained that he feels like he is joining his friends not just as a creator but as a performer who shares the screen equally. It gives him room to stretch his skills and spend more time connecting to one character instead of jumping between several unrelated roles. This is something he rarely experiences as a dungeon master in the tabletop version, since in live campaigns he voices many characters, but none of them stay with him as deeply as Essek will in the animated adaptation. That makes this experience refreshing and personally rewarding. Fellow voice actor Liam O'Brien even joked about Essek being naughty, showing that the cast fully embraces the character's mischievous and morally complicated nature. In the original campaign of the Mighty Nein, Essek was an NPC, meaning he was under Mercer's control, like all other non-player characters. Even though he was technically not a main party member, he still had a major presence in several arcs and carried a huge emotional weight in the story. The animated adaptation now has the freedom to expand his storyline even earlier and highlight how important he is to the overall plot. Instead of showing up later, Essek begins the show as a major focus because of his involvement in the political tension between two major nations. He also carries a secret that adds emotional depth. His mother has typhus, a deadly neurological disease that leads to execution in his homeland, creates more reasons to explore his motivations, fears, and moral choices in a more intimate way on screen. What makes Essek especially interesting is that he is not a traditional villain or a straightforward hero. He walks in a morally gray space, sometimes helping the group while also hiding dangerous truths about himself. Mercer said that playing a character with such depth allows him to explore emotions that he normally doesn't express when voicing short-term antagonists. Instead of shouting menacing lines for a dramatic battle or appearing briefly to influence the plot, he now gets to develop Essek across multiple seasons with room for vulnerability, guilt, and growth. For fans who enjoy rich character storytelling, this gives the show a stronger emotional backbone, especially since Essek plays a major role in how the Mighty Nein's journey unfolds. The animation team is also expanding Essek's story even beyond what was shown in the original live stream campaign. This means the audience may see new scenes that provide more detail about his past, personal struggles, and political obligations before he meets the rest of the group. This approach helps strengthen the entire narrative by making Essek feel like a natural part of the world from the beginning rather than a late addition. It also gives Mercer more freedom as a performer, letting him bring new emotional layers to a character he originally created but never got to fully explore as a dedicated lead. This is a rare opportunity for a storyteller to step inside a character instead of just guiding them from the outside. For longtime Critical Role fans, this change feels especially meaningful because Mercer has always been the backbone of the stories, but rarely the face of them. He usually works behind the scenes, shaping characters, writing lore, and giving voice to enemies without getting to enjoy the spotlight as a main protagonist. Now he finally experiences what his fellow cast members have enjoyed for years, being fully immersed in a character's long-term emotional journey. It allows him to connect to fans not just as a creator, but as a performer who contributes to the story on equal footing. This also changes how the audience will see him, giving him more visibility beyond the Dungeon Master role. Mercer's excitement for this shift is clear. He mentioned that working closely with the cast as a fellow performer feels rewarding and fun, especially since they are all his close friends in real life. Instead of guiding them through a story as a narrator, he is now reacting alongside them as one of the characters. This change also helps the show maintain consistency in tone because Mercer's emotional connection to Essek helps bring out authenticity in scenes related to magic, politics, and personal conflict. It gives viewers a richer experience, especially those who already love the complexity of Critical Role lore. With the Mighty Nein expanding the universe of Critical Role in animated form, Mercer's new role could set the tone for future spin-offs. If Essek becomes one of the most beloved characters in the franchise, it could lead to more narrative arcs centered on deeper storytelling instead of just action-driven plots. Fans already adore morally complicated characters in fantasy worlds, and Essek fits perfectly into that category. His presence also helps balance the narrative so that the emotional weight does not rely solely on the main party members. As the show continues, it's likely that Essek's involvement will affect major turning points, especially due to his political influence and magical knowledge. His choices may shape wars, alliances, betrayals, and personal relationships. Mercer seems ready to take on that responsibility and treat the character with the emotional seriousness he deserves. The excitement comes not just from having a bigger role, but from finally getting the opportunity to explore a character on a deeper level with animation and storytelling resources that go far beyond the original tabletop experience. For fans, this marks a new era for Critical Role adaptations where Mercer doesn't just build the world. He actively lives in it,